Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we reveal the hidden stories behind those dusty financial reports. Today we're diving into SpartanNash's latest filing. Now, what's the big news? Well, let's just say SpartanNash might be getting a new owner, and this report tells us a bit about how that's moving along. Before we jump in, if you like getting these straight up insights, make sure you're subscribed and join our Discord community linked in the description below. So things are happening at SpartanNash. This report is dated August 20th, 25, but it's talking about events that started around August 18th. What's the big event? It's about a merger, a big deal where another company saying has wholesale grocers is looking to buy SpartanNash. Think of it like one company saying, hey, we like what you're doing, let's join forces. This report fills us in on a small but important step in that whole process. Now, when big companies merge, the government steps in to make sure it's fair and doesn't hurt competition. This regulation, the Hart-Scott-Rodino Act, is basically Uncle Sam's way of saying, show me what you're planning and let me check it out. SpartanNash and CNS had already filed their paperwork. But what happened in August? CNS decided to pull their initial filing. Why would they do that? It sounds a bit like hitting the reset button, right? Well, they did it to give the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, more time to really dig into the deal. It's kind of like asking for an extension on a big school project so you can do a better job presenting it. It shows they're taking the antitrust review seriously and want to make sure everything is above board. So after taking that pause, CNS refiled everything on August 19th. This starts a new 30-day waiting period. This is a common move, not necessarily a sign of trouble, but a way to ensure regulators have all the information they need and to keep the process moving smoothly. Despite this little hiccup, SpartanNash and CNS are still confident that they can wrap this deal up by the end of 2025. Of course, that's still dependent on a few things. They need the green light from regulators, SpartanNash shareholders have to approve the deal, and all the usual closing conditions need to be met. It's worth remembering who SpartanNash is. They're a big player in the grocery supply chain, serving a ton of customers across the country. They own brands like Nash Finch and UnFI. Being bought by CNS, another major wholesale grocery player, would create an even bigger entity in the food distribution world. For those who play in the stock market, SpartanNash's stock is traded on the NASDAQ Global Select Market under the ticker symbol SPTN. If you're an investor watching this deal, this is a pretty crucial moment. Mergers can lead to big changes for shareholders, sometimes good, sometimes not so much, depending on the terms. Now, like most companies talking about future plans, SpartanNash uses a lot of what they call forward-looking statements. This is basically legalese for we think this might happen, but it's not a guarantee. They're trying to signal their expectations about things like getting approvals and the timing of the merger. Words like X, anticipates, and may are your cues here. It's important to remember that these statements are based on current assumptions and could change if things don't go as planned. And speaking of things not going as planned, the report also lays out the risks. A big one is that SpartanNash shareholders might not vote to approve the deal. If the shareholders say no, the whole thing falls apart. There's also the risk that regulators could impose conditions that make the deal unattractive, or that the deal just doesn't close at all. They even mention the possibility of having to pay a termination fee if the deal is called off for certain reasons. This is a pretty significant risk for any merger. Getting regulatory approval is like getting a visa for international travel. If it's denied or if it comes with too many restrictions, it can stop the whole journey in its tracks. The fact that they're highlighting this suggests it's a real concern for the parties involved. And here's a big one for investors. Sometimes just the announcement of a merger or even the fact that it's taking a while to get approved can make the company's stock price go up and down like a roller coaster. This uncertainty can spook investors, leading to a drop in stock value even if the deal eventually goes through. Finally, we see the signature, confirming this report is official. Ileana McAlary, who holds a pretty important title as Executive Vice President, Chief Legal Officer, and Corporate Secretary, signed off on this. This is the person who makes sure all the company's legal doings are in order. So what's my take on all this? SpartanNash is on the verge of a major shift, potentially becoming part of the much larger CNS wholesale grocers. The regulatory process, specifically the antitrust review under the Hart-Scott-Rodino Act, is a key hurdle. The voluntary withdrawal and refiling of the notification is a procedural step, likely aimed at facilitation of various closing conditions, including regulatory clearances. The report carefully outlines the risks, which is standard practice, but highlights potential setbacks like shareholder rejection or unfavorable regulatory requirements. The market impact of these announcements is also a noted concern, affecting SpartanNash's stock price and overall valuation during this transition period. Looking at the broader picture, this deal signals a consolidation trend in the wholesale grocery sector. For SpartanNash, it could mean access to greater resources and a wider distribution network under C&S. However, it also introduces the challenge of integrating two large companies and navigating the complexities of antitrust regulations. The key for SpartanNash shareholders will be to closely monitor the shareholder vote and the finalization of regulatory approvals, as these will dictate the ultimate outcome of the transaction and its impact on their investment. Alright, that's our breakdown of SpartanNash's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think this merger will be a success? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate finance. And hey, don't forget to check out our Discord community in the description. It's a great place to connect with other finance enthusiasts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Corporate Decoder.